Okay, as soon as we go live, as soon as I can get an audio confirmation here, we can start the broadcast. Right? Okay, as soon as we go live, as soon as I can get an.
I'm interested if our push has had anything to do with their.
Yeah, can you hold on real quick? Let me just confirm that the audio is good. Is your video on? Okay. All right, guys. Yeah. All right. So we got feedback saying the audio is good. So. All right. Okay, guys. This is Ty Zen. Welcome to our channel on trading and investing in cryptocurrencies here. In this episode, guys, I want to talk about some technical stuff that is related to the upcoming release of the EOS blockchain. Okay. And with me today, we have a very special guest. His name is Crypto Phil. Say hello, Phil.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
All right. So Phil is joining us from the Exodus.io team, which is, in my opinion, the best desktop cryptocurrency desktop software on the planet right now. Okay. And because I said that, I also have to disclose this, guys. Okay. Our team are invested in the Exodus wallet software, meaning we own shares in it. So there could potentially be an inherent conflict of interest in what I say about the Exodus wallet. Okay, so full disclosure there. The other thing too is that no one on our team at this moment, at the time of the broadcast, are investors in the EOS token. Okay, so that could change tomorrow or the next day, but at this particular moment, we're not in it. Okay, so just full disclosure on there. The reason why I brought Phil on board here is because EOS happens to be one of the most popular traded cryptocurrencies on the Exodus wallet software, the desktop wallet software. And according to EOSauthority.com/Genesis, and all these links I'm telling you guys is in the description underneath the video. So you guys can just click on it and follow along with me, okay? So according to the EOS authority that I'm looking at here on the second monitor here, right, it says that only about 45% of the EOS tokens right now are registered, which means that there's a huge amount that is not registered. So there's, according to CoinMarketCap, right, the EOS tokens are currently have a roughly $10 billion market cap. So if 55% of that are not registered, there could be a potential that people out there in the crypto community could lose a huge chunk of their EOS tokens. So even though we are not investors at the moment in the EOS tokens, we are big fans of the EOS, big fans of the Exodus wallet.io. Okay, so we want to make sure that nobody accidentally or somehow ends up losing their EOS tokens simply because they did not go through the registration process to obtain their tokens. Okay, so in this video, guys, Phil and I, we're trying to keep everything so that it's as fact-based as much as possible, and without injecting our personal opinions in it. I can do the personal opinions in a separate video simply because we don't want to be responsible for any, we're not licensed financial advisors, right? We're just here in this video sharing technical stuff on the registration process that we have researched online, okay? So let me just give a quick start here, a summary of what's going on here. EOS is a blockchain that is built by Dan Larimer from a company called Block.one or Block.one, okay? And they're a well-known and a big player in the blockchain and the cryptocurrency space. All the links to their site are in the description below. And just keep in mind, guys, just because I'm talking about EOS is not a recommendation for you guys or a suggestion for you guys to go buy or invest in the tokens. I'm just doing a what do you call that, Phil? A public computer security service here to make sure that people go through the process correctly and not lose their tokens, okay, or miss out on losing their tokens or things like that. Okay, so the way that the EOS blockchain is developed, right, during their crowd sale, they're selling these tokens, and these tokens are based on the ERC20 token standard that's built on the Ethereum blockchain. So the easiest way that I can think of to understand this whole process is that the tokens, the EOS tokens that's currently floating around in the market that's being traded right now are basically IOUs, okay, for the real EOS tokens. And in order to get the real EOS tokens, the people who currently control the IOU, the EOS IOU tokens, need to register those tokens or those addresses so that when the real tokens come out on the mainnet launch, I think it's on June 1st, is based on the research that we did. The rumors on the street is that it will be launched on June 1st. Now, whether it launches on that day or not, I do not know. Phil does not know, and neither does Exodus. Nobody knows, okay? But the rumors are that that's when it's going to be launched. And so we are just want to make sure that people are aware of that, okay? So you have to register your current EOS tokens in order to receive the real EOS tokens, okay? Is there anything you want to add to that, Phil?
Well, one thing I just kind of would like to clarify for everyone is that it is not the tokens themselves that are actually registered. It's your Ethereum address that you're registering, so that a mainnet EOS address can be mapped to it. So it kind of ties it to an EOS mainnet address for you. Because a very common question we get is in regards to the moving around of tokens after an address has been registered, because people think that the tokens themselves are registered, and they're not. So tokens can move freely to and from a registered address until the date of the snapshot. And any tokens that you would like to have accounted for on the mainnet, you would want to have at that registered address at the time of the snapshot of it occurring. And from what has been said so far, the snapshot will occur on June 1st, 23:59 UTC time. And sometime after that, the mainnet blockchain will be left to be launched.
Okay. You know what? I made a mistake here real quick, and I want to update everyone on it. I forgot to get you to explain to all our viewers what your role is at Exodus, because you mentioned earlier that and I just want the audience to understand what's your role over there.
Perfect. Yeah. When you guys email in or you talk to us on Twitter, I'm part of our customer support team there. So we're there helping you guys out and answering all the questions that you have about EOS and anything else in the space. I know a lot of people that have been following along have seen Chris, our VP, who's been on a few shows talking about this lately. But yeah, I'm one of our CSEs there. Yeah.
So congratulations to y'all's awesome customer service, by the way. I think you guys, it was amazing to see that you guys were the first wallet, desktop software wallet out there that I know of that came along with customer support. So that's, huge congrats to you and Daniel and JP and the rest of the Exodus team there. Okay, so let's start. You want to start with the registration process, and we can explain to people. I put the link in the description, guys, if you guys want to follow along. So let's explain to people the importance and why it needs to be registered. And then based on the Exodus blog post here, and maybe I can ask you some questions to clarify that for everyone. And then Exodus also has a second support post here where they explain how to quickly register the EOS address inside Exodus. And then we can go through that. And then we'll answer any questions that anyone has afterwards, okay? So if you guys want to go to the medium.com/Exodus movement, the name of the article is Time is Running Out and Why You Need to Register Your EOS Address Right Now. So let me just pull this up on the screen here. and then maybe we can walk through this so that maybe you can highlight to the viewers, Phil, what they need to know and understand about it. Okay.
Sounds good, Todd.
Give me a second here to switch screen here. Okay, so I'm pulling up, and again, guys, the link is in the description, so you guys can just follow us along there. All right, so I'm bringing it. Let me know when you can see my screen, Phil.
All right, I see you.
Okay, so I'm going to magnify it so it's easier for everyone to see in case they have bad eyesight like I do. All right, so this is the article that we're looking at, guys. It's like a quick 9-minute read, right? So make sure that you guys read this. Okay, it's in the links below. So the one thing that, okay, so earlier I talked about why it's important that you register your EOS address, which is the Ethereum address. I said tokens, and then thanks to Phil for clarifying that, right? So once you register, it's important to register this so that when they distribute the real EOS tokens, they know which addresses to distribute it to. Is that safe to say there, Phil?
Yes, absolutely. That's safe to say. What happens is when the registration takes place, it maps it, you could say, and that's kind of the terminology they use, to an EOS mainnet address. So that way they know that when the snapshot occurs on your Ethereum address, that has a mainnet address to then grant those mainnet tokens to.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure if the audience can, let me just do this quick check with the audience here. Can everyone see my screen? Let me see here. Let me just do a quick check to make sure everyone can see the screen. If you can type in there and let me know if you guys can see the screen, that would be awesome. I know you can see it, Phil, but I just want to check to make sure the audience can see it. Okay, so Timothy says yes. Pygos says yes also. All right, so that's the reason why you need to register if you want to get the real tokens when the mainnet launches. All right, so the next section here is what are the private keys? If you are in cryptocurrency, there's two keys that you need to be aware of. The public key is the address or the string of numbers and letters that you need to give to someone so they'll know how to send tokens to you. And the private key is also a string of numbers and letters. And having that private key allows you to control the sending of the tokens inside your account. Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Phil?
No, I think that's probably the easiest way to explain it for any listeners who are people watching who aren't as technologically knowledgeable about that kind of stuff. Your public key, yeah, you're going to use that key to give to people so they can send things to you. And so that'll be what you can use to view things on the blockchain. Whereas your private key is what allows you to be able to send those funds out from your wallet. So that's why it's so important that you protect those and you always keep them safe away from anyone or prying eyes, because we don't want anyone taking our hard-earned EOS.
Okay. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up about the computer security there. I forgot to mention that. So the public key, guys, you can share that with other people and let them see it so they can send you tokens. But the private key here, even though it is displayed here on the Exodus blog, it is displayed here so you can see it so that you can have an idea what a private key looks like. But you should never, ever show your private key to anyone when you have it. Because if they can see your private key like they have right here, they have the ability to control and send the tokens out of your wallet, and then you will lose your funds. So please do not ever show your private key to anyone. It is shown here for illustration purposes only, okay? But for your personal computer security, do not ever show your private key to anyone, okay? So, and do not ever, leave it online exposed to the internet too, like it is right now, where the whole world can see it. All right. Obviously, this is a sample account where there's nothing in there, so that's the reason why they did this. Okay. So, all right. So here is an example of if you go to Etherscan, this is the blockchain explorer for the Ethereum blockchain. and here it shows you where the Ethereum address is at in the top left corner here. And then here is the EOS crowd sale or the contract, my understanding, to where the current EOS tokens are being held if you currently have some. Okay, so it looks something like that. You would click on this token right here, button here, and then there's a drop-down menu, and it'll show you how many EOS tokens you have if you are using Etherscan. Okay, so let's come down here. So everything that we currently know and do not know about the EOS mainnet launch, according to this article here. So what we know here is that the time of the snapshot is supposed to be around June 1st, 23:59 UTC hours. Okay. The mainnet, the EOS mainnet tokens are to be distributed in a 1-to-1 ratio to the ERC20 tokens held by the registered address. That means that if you have one token, you get one token. If you have one EOS token that's based on the Ethereum, then you get one new one on the EOS mainnet. Okay, so now can you talk a little bit about point number 3 right here? Do you understand this point right here, Phil? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So if anyone goes and looks at the EOS.io FAQ page, which I advise anyone who is looking into doing research on EOS or any project to look at their FAQ page and just kind of get an idea of any terms or anything that's going on with them. And what's going on is they're creating this software and they're developing it all while it's and releasing the betas. But once the mainnet launches, they're putting the software out there for other people to then create their own blockchain with. Which is kind of a puzzle, you know, to us, as stated in here. It's one of the most questioning things because unlike a currency like Bitcoin where you don't know who created it, we know who created EOS. And being that Dan has so many other projects that people have perceived very well, we're not sure why there's not a tie to that. But yeah, they're gonna create the software, put it out there, and it's left for one of the other block producers or blockchains that are looking to start on EOS to run that chain.
Okay, and then here they're talking about point number 4 here, that there are currently developers and teams and are deploying distributed apps on top of the EOS currently onto their testnet. Okay,
correct.
So. And here's some examples, project tokens such as EOS, DAC, EOS Coffee, Evolution, and more, okay? So point number 5 here is that airdrops are planned by different development teams to registered EOS addresses, okay? What is that about?
So outside of EOS, DAC, and Evolution, those ones were airdropped as ERC20 tokens to ETH addresses. And there were certain requirements for them. Like I know EOS Doc was you needed to have 100 or more, I believe, EOS tokens at your ETH address, or you could manually request the airdrop. And then Evolution was another one that airdropped to that. Whereas many of the other ones, if you look into, they require your address to be registered for the EOS mainnet. And there's a lot of times some KYC that's involved or some type of identity registration with their actual web page. And we added this to the article because we get a lot of emails that come in about the different airdrops that have happened or that are happening because EOS is very airdrop heavy, it seems so far. There are a lot of projects that are planning on being on the main chain, and that's kind of their distribution method that they'll be using. So after further investigation, we found that a lot of them aren't just being dropped at people's addresses like when a fork happens or a traditional airdrop. There are additional requirements. So, you know, anyone who is interested in the different dApps that will come to EOS should definitely look into that project more specifically to find out what the requirements would be for them.
Okay. And then on point number 6 here, some exchanges will be handling the protocol migration for customers But Exodus does not advise storing the funds on exchange because you don't control your keys. Our team does not recommend holding any kind of cryptocurrency tokens on exchange unless it's for trading, and then afterwards remove it immediately. Okay, so let me see.
Yeah, to highlight one point in this that's kind of important, it says, because you don't control your keys, as well as this voids the swapping of your EOS stock or the other ERC20 airdrops. And this is because with a custodial service or an exchange where they control your keys, you don't actually control that address. So it's not yours that's registered. It's the exchanges that's registered. Yeah. And these airdrops are being dropped on the mainnet to the registered addresses. So if you are someone that would prefer or feel safer even for some reason with using Binance, Kraken, or one of the exchanges that have stated that they will be participating in the swap, that is something to take into account, that that these airdrops do not apply to the swap that they'll be doing, okay, at least as of right now.
Okay, and now this 21 block producer here, let me see, 21 block producers are needed for a blockchain on the EOS network. 20 are voted in, and the 21st is chosen, each block based on their proportional votes compared to the other producers. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why the EOS network is supposed to be faster than other blockchains. It's simply because the transactions are processed by known what do you call that? By known processors, by known, I guess,
yeah,
miners, to say.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. The block producers are essentially miners for the EOS network in a proof of stake or a DPoS, I guess, setup, you could say.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they're voting in 20. And the 21st will be based on how many votes they have. And that one can be rotated in and out and kind of change. I'm not sure how familiar with people are or if you are yourself with Steemit, but that's kind of how they work with their witnesses. They have people that are voted in. Only they're all voted. So you have your top 20, and then the 21st, they actually rotate out. So there's kind of a fair distribution of people that are involved who aren't within that top 20.
Okay.
So if you wanted to be a witness or a block producer, you can be, and you can have the requirements to. And from my understanding, the way that works is if you have enough votes, then you can be brought in as that 21st.
Okay. Now, number 8 here, it says that 15% of the token holders have to approve a blockchain before it goes live. Right. So this incentivizes EOS holders to remain holding to participate in the governance of the network. So basically, so they have a governance set up so that there's actually a way to make decisions and to vote on things. Okay, which is a big problem that's in the Bitcoin space that I've always brought up on our channel. That one of the reasons why it's taking forever for things to get updated on the Bitcoin network is because there is no governance, or there's no dispute resolution or final resolution process for people to make decisions on how the software needs to be updated. So this is just something to determine how they make changes right here, right? So Block.1 controls 10% of the EOS supply. So that's the numbers there. It says that this may sound like a lot, but there's some mega whales out there. You should check out the rich list. Okay, so we'll skip that for now. We'll just focus on the tech. So the Constitution and protocol can be amended under specific circumstances, right? So that's more of the technical stuff. And so if you guys want to learn more about that, you can read it here, right? So let's come down to here. Okay, so let's talk about what we don't know, okay? When will any mainnet blockchains be created? EOS says June 3rd, but since Block.1 is not launching the chain, this is still an unknown. In theory, there are 21 block producers tasked with launching a mainnet. However, it is unclear who they are or how they were selected. Okay, so Second is how many EOS mainnets competing chains will actually launch. At the time of writing, there are 39 potential block candidates, but the amount of competing EOS blockchains is unknown at the time. Okay, so is there a fallback registration scenario? There is supposedly a fallback mechanism that will automatically generate an EOS public address from your unregistered Ethereum address that is accessible with the corresponding Ethereum private key for that address. What disadvantages this method has over normal registration is unknown, and we've been given no details about this, nor were any parties willing to make this information clear or available to us. So, and when I say us, talking about Exodus, talking about themselves. Okay,
yes.
so
to just add to that, anyone who is watching this or who does read this article, you should not hope that there's a fallback. And this is why the registration is so important, because if this experimental fallback mechanism never does come to fruition, and we haven't seen any code, we haven't been able to find anything on it besides someone mentioning it, that's where the potential to not be able to claim mainnet tokens comes from. And that's something that when we put that in there, we wanted to be really clear that although we've heard about this, there's nothing we could find to show that it actually exists.
Okay. And I also want to add that, say thanks to the Exodus team for helping us answer questions in the chat box too. Somebody asked, do we need to register our ID or ID just to get the airdrop? And the response from Exodus is that the EOS ERC 20 airdrops are completely separate from the registration. The registration is required for you to claim the EOS mainnet tokens. If you do not register, you could potentially lose your mainnet tokens. Okay, so and then I think Miss Lulu 123 asked, how do I receive the previous airdrops on Exodus? And the response from Exodus is that you will not be able to see them in Exodus because they're not supported in the wallet. You were able to see the airdrop tokens on Etherscan or any equivalent blockchain explorer. Okay, so and Miss Lulu 123 asked, how do you withdraw them? You withdraw the airdrop tokens. Based on my understanding, you would withdraw them or move them around as long as you have control of the private key for that Ethereum address. And something you can use is the myetherwallet.com, and make sure you go to the correct one and use that to see it and be able to move them around. Okay, so let's go back to point number 4 here. How airdrop tokens will operate or be transferred to the block producer's chain. Okay, so all this stuff right here, guys, are technical stuff. Okay, so the thing that if you want to learn more about it, you can come and read it here. I don't want to get into too much detail, too deep in the technical side and lose everyone.
Do you want me to try and explain number 4, maybe in a more
yeah? Can you explain
like
non-technical terms?
So for how the airdrop tokens will operate or be transferred to the block producer's chain, what we mean is that we don't yet know how these airdrops that have given set dates for when their airdrop will occur, or who already have ERC 20 airdrops, how they actually plan to migrate to the main chain, or whether they'll be doing a similar like registration or claim method or something like that. The way that they will migrate to the new chain, or the way that they'll be accessible on the new chain, is not yet known to us, because that information hasn't been let known by the project themselves, nor do we have a main chain that's out yet for EOS to know, to have any details on that. So it's really just, we don't know how the airdrops moving to the new chain is going to work.
Okay. And then number 5, are there planned EOS mainnet compatible wallets? And at this time, we've only heard about an integrated wallet with the EOS chat dApp and a command line interface wallet. So unless you're comfortable with command line, there are no wallets at this time. Our personal computer security recommendation, guys, is that on our team is that we do not, unless you are technically savvy and you are a software engineer, we do not encourage anyone messing with the the command line interface wallets because it's not easy. Okay, you actually have to know some software stuff to be able to move things around, and you could potentially lose it. So I personally always wait until they come out with a wallet that I can easily use, right, before I do anything like that. Okay, you have anything to add to that, Phil?
No, I completely agree with you on that point. You know, it's always best to whenever something new comes out, whether it be a fork coin or a new chain or anything like that, you know, everyone wants to get their hands on it, but it's always best to just have patience and just wait to see how things kind of play out, because you want to make sure that you're verifying everything, that you're getting a legitimate wallet that's authorized or that is from the actual team. Because when these types of things happen, you'll see an uptick in fraudulent wallets, fraudulent sites, scam sites that are out there to get your 12-word phrase or to get your private keys. So it's always important, at least in my personal opinion, to just gather and research as much information as you can when things are coming out, so that way you can be informed and be safe.
Okay, so on number 6 here, point number 6 here, they talk about how secure are the transactions on the EOS network and whether they can be reversed or double spent. And double spending means that for example, if I send a token to Phil and then I turn around and then copy and paste that same token and send it to someone else, that would be called a double spend. And accordingly, double spending transactions has always been a topic for debate. And supposedly on the EOS network, this problem has a resolution. Okay, so number 7 here, how will EOS solve the issues with hacked account recovery and user loss of funds to the network? This has been a selling point for EOS, fund recovery, but how, no one is clear on that at the moment because the information has not been released. Okay, so mainnet wallet providers who, if anyone, will be able to provide a day one support. As touched on above, there are not any known wallet providers at this time, which means that there are also no wallets for any mainnet EOS distributed app token.
Yeah, so this one, as well as it might have been number 4 or 5, are similar, but what we wanted to differentiate is that because there's not any wallets available yet, a lot of these airdrop tokens that may be received to your mainnet keys, there's not necessarily a way to get them, and a lot of people will want to get them right away without realizing that you know, there's not another wallet to extract them to, which goes back into your own security and safety and doing research and making sure you're finding real authentic wallets that you're able to get access to these tokens from.
Yeah, so point number 9 here is that what are the technical requirements to support the EOS mainnet? And the answer to that is that nobody knows. The Exodus team wants to give their customers everything they desire in a wallet, but they have to know how to implement it. And no information is currently available or shared with anyone on how the mainnet works. Okay, so how will the ERC20 airdrop transitions work? So outside of the EOS DAC right here, where we know merely that tokens held in a registered address are prepared for an eventual mainnet transit. The rest of the project's mainnet distribution methods are unknown. So there's a lot of information that's unknown on the technical side of the launch, the mainnet launch of EOS, guys. So there's a lot of information here that we may have questions about, but really nobody knows because there's no information provided by the EOS development team at the moment.
To just touch real quick on point number 9, if anyone looks at our roadmap on our website, exodus.io, and you search for our roadmap, you'll see that we do have planned to support the mainnet because it is very well requested by us. And when people request apps or features, we do listen, and we want to assess them and look into them, and we want to bring them to our customers as quickly as we can. But there are obviously development hurdles that sometimes happen, and until we can find out everything about a coin or token that's being presented, we can't give the people what they want. So we do have anyone that has registered within Exodus, they do have mainnet public and private keys that have already been generated that can be found in the wallet. And we'll be more than happy to help anyone who does email us in about that if we don't have support for the EOS mainnet by the time they're looking to access those. So that's something I just kind of wanted to put out there, because a lot of people will now wonder, if I register in using Exodus and you're not going to support it right away, well, how do I get my mainnet EOS? You control your private keys with Exodus. There's no accounts with us. Everything's with you, the customer. So you do have access to all of your mainnet information as soon as the mainnet does launch and when it does launch.
Okay. And so number 11 here, why has Block One, the company that's building EOS, chosen not to participate in the launch of the EOS platform? And the answer is nobody knows. But basically, that's what the answer is. Okay. Exodus does not know why they chose not to launch the network themselves. Okay. So number 12 here, I'm sure it has to do with liability and responsibility. So how do block producers on the EOS network work? So block producers in theory work in essence the way that mining pools work. These producers maintain the network. They are the miners. Unlike Bitcoin, where there are approximately 10 pools, EOS will have 21 block producers. Similar to how Steemit is maintained, this creates more of a decentralized network when viewed as though a network is controlled by pools rather than individuals. Okay, so anything you want to add to that?
So I don't want people to misinterpret this to where they think there's 21 pools now, because with the EOS network, we don't know how their block producers are going to work, and it could be a larger pool. But sometimes when you have this proof of stake type setup, your producer is just a person with a server that's mining for them. So even though there's the comparison to the pools, that was kind of used as an analogy to understand kind of the bigger view of how block producers and pools are compared to each other when looking at like a proof of work and proof of stake type of comparison.
Okay, so the last question is, how many individual addresses have or have not registered for the mainnet distribution? And the answer is right here. We go to EOSauthority.com Genesis, and according to their status bar here, it says that 44.95% or roughly 45% have registered, and there's this much that have not registered. So go back to here. Okay, so there's as evident here, a long list of unknowns remains surrounding the EOS mainnet launch. Exodus hopes that this post will help promote discussion around these and to make sure that there's clarity in the community with it. Okay, so we're gonna go over here and jump to the next page. Oh, anything you want to add before we wrap up this post here and go to the part about how to actually register this on Exodus, Phil?
Well, as we go through how to register through Exodus, we just want to be clear that the reason why we made the article and why we're trying to be so vocal in the community about talking about this is not because we want you to register through Exodus. If you do, great. We're more than happy to help you out with it, and we appreciate all your support that you give us. But we just want to bring awareness to the fact that there were not, as far as we knew at the time, there were a very low amount of registered addresses and the ramifications that could have happened if people didn't. So we just wanted to make a point to have everyone who wasn't aware of the address registration part of the EOS distribution to be aware of that. And if they're using my Ether wallet or my crypto wallet or anything like that, you can register directly from the EOS.io website. You don't have to do it through us or through my Ether wallet. Actually, on the EOS.io website, I think they take you through doing it with my Ether wallet. So I apologize for that, but you don't have to do it just through us. There are other methods, and we just want you to know all of the facts about their distribution, so that way you can be, you can feel like you were in the know. Okay, so according here, so if you guys want to follow us here by going to the link in the description to how do I register my EOS address inside Exodus,
you come to this page right here, and you need to use Exodus version 1.48.0 or later, and you can perform the registration safely inside Exodus with having to export any private keys or even visit the EOS website. All you need is a few mouse clicks, and this guy will show you how to register EOS tokens held in your Exodus wallet. So basically, you come here, right? You want to walk us through this, and I can scroll down through it as you guide me?
Absolutely. So if you see the kind of media GIF he's showing you right now, kind of what will happen is you can go directly to your help menu. And if you scroll down scroll down your help list, you'll get to the very bottom where you'll find how do I register my EOS. And that actually says EOS address now, not tokens. You'll click the green button and click OK, and then boom, you're done. And it'll show you the transaction on the blockchain so you can confirm. And at that time, it'll no longer say address registered, address is not registered in the corner. And what will also happen is that if you go into your EOS wallet and you click to view your receiving address, there will be something that says your address is not registered if you have not registered. Okay. And if you have registered it,
so you're saying at the top right up here, so when someone comes into their site, they come down, click on EOS, and come up here and it says address not registered. Then you come back to the help button and come down here and say, and look for the how do I register my EOS tokens, click on the green button, and then the registration is a success.
Correct. And one thing's very important to note is that this is a transaction that's happening on the Ethereum network. So you will need Ethereum in your wallet to perform this registration. It's a very small amount. It's cents that it costs. And when we were looking earlier at the article, when we were at the Etherscan website, if you noticed on the token contract part, it showed 0 for what it costs. And if you looked over a little bit further, it showed a very, very small amount.
Okay, so you're talking about right.
Correct. Yeah, it's a 0 Ether. And then if you look all the way over, it shows that very, very small amount. That's how much of a fee the transaction was to perform the registration. So it's an extremely negligible small amount, but you do some small amount of Ether in there to pay for the transaction. And that's to prevent people from spamming the network, guys. So that's why it requires a small transaction like that. Okay. So let me see. Is there anything else on this, or do I need to scroll down? No, if you scroll down now, we just kind of highlight where it shows where you'll see that your address is not registered if you have not registered your address. So in the very top of your EOS wallet, you've selected wallet. That's on the left-hand side that you can see in your menu tab. Then you select EOS in your asset list. And then in the top right corner, you'll see address not registered. All right, and that will kind of be your cue that you do need to register your address. Okay. So another thing you could do is if you continue to scroll down, you'll see right here, this is what happens when you click on receive in any of your wallets. It'll pop up and show you your address and the QR for it, and it'll say address is not registered. So that's a way to double check. And then you'll go to the help menu, and that's where you can perform your registration from there.
You come down here to help.
Click on help, and then scroll down to how do I register my EOS address? It's now been changed so it doesn't say tokens. And you'll click on the green button. Another thing to note is that after you've performed your registration, that green button will not be there anymore. So there's another way that you'll know that you've registered your address if you're on the newest release, which is 1.51.4.
Okay. And then just click on the big green button and then register now.
Yep. And then it'll actually show you, it'll tell you how much it's going to charge in the transaction fee. It'll show you this transaction afterwards, so you can actually watch it on the blockchain, confirm to let you know that it's happened.
Okay. And then now you can verify it.
Yep. And then your message will change in your receive address. If you go into your EOS wallet, there will no longer in the top right corner be your address is not registered. as well as underneath your receiving address, it will now say your EOS address is registered correctly. So that's kind of the way within the wallet to check. But with the site that you went to earlier, some people have asked, how do I confirm outside of your wallet? At EOS Authority, where you're at earlier, you can take your public Ethereum receive address, public, and paste that into there, and they'll tell you that they'll be able to tell you that your EOS has been registered.
Yeah.
So how can I check if I have a complete registration? And they have a tool that they've created that you'll just copy your Ethereum address, you'll paste it in there, and they'll tell you that you've registered and you're good.
Yeah. So you would grab this public address right here, and then go here and click on how can I check if I have complete registration and go right there, and pretty much you put it here on their homepage input right here, and then check that I'm not a robot, so you can let them know you're not a spammer, and then check my EOS. Okay, so a few notes here. Once you have registered, be aware that you will need to keep your EOS tokens in Exodus when the mainnet launch occurs. No official information has been released yet about how the EOS team will determine how to allocate EOS mainnet coins, but we recommend taking the safe approach. It's likely the EOS team will take some kind of snapshot in the days or weeks leading up to the mainnet launch on June 1st. We're not sure when this will occur, but when it does, it's important that all of your EOS tokens be inside Exodus. Otherwise, you may not be able to exchange them or claim their equivalency in EOS mainnet coins. As a result, we recommend keeping your EOS coins safely in Exodus until the mainnet launches or until more clear official information has been published by the EOS team, right? So our policy is this, guys, on our channel, on our team, is that anytime there's a fork, there's a mainnet launch, or anything that is similar to this event, what we do is we wait 30 to 60 days and let the dust settle and let everybody else make the mistakes, and then we'll figure it out after that happens. Okay, so especially if you're not technically savvy, then the best thing to do is just wait and let somebody else make the mistakes and figure it out before you try to do it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Let the Reddit posts roll in of all the bad, the fraud sites and bad software that was put out, so that way you're in the know. I think that's excellent advice, Kai. Just be patient, just wait, and patience pays.
Okay, so the other thing too is, let me see here. So keep in mind, guys, that Exodus does not yet support EOS mainnet coins within the wallet interface, but the public-private keys for EOS mainnet are still present inside Exodus and are generated from your 12-word phrase. This means as long as you have your 12-word phrase, your EOS mainnet coins are safe. After the June 1st EOS mainnet launch, it may take a while for Exodus to fully transition from the ERC20 base EOS tokens into mainnet EOS tokens. During this transition, your EOS mainnet coins will be safely held in your wallet, waiting to be enabled and accessed once we have the necessary server-side infrastructure ready. However, if you're eager to access your EOS mainnet coins immediately after the launch, you will still be able to export your EOS mainnet private keys and public keys for use in another EOS mainnet wallet if somebody comes out with one. Okay, so you can follow the roadmaps for updates on EOS mainnet support here at this link, right? So if you have already registered your EOS address, guys, if you've already registered your EOS address, then the message that your address is not registered will still appear. In this case, you can register your address again from within Exodus if you want, and that new registration will override the old one. You will have a new EOS mainnet address and private key that will be safely stored in Exodus. So the benefit of doing the registration again is that your EOS address and private key will be derived from your Exodus 12-word phrase and associated with your Exodus wallet. So when we introduce support for the mainnet EOS coins, enabling them will be done easily from within Exodus. Okay, so if you choose not to re-register your address, there's no need to worry. It is still registered and you'll be eligible for the mainnet EOS coins. Mom? So can you turn that down real quick? If you choose not to re-register your address, there's no need to worry. It is still registered and you'll be eligible for the mainnet EOS coins. after the EOS mainnet launches, we introduce support for it. You can import your EOS mainnet private key into Exodus like any other coin if you choose, if you so choose. All right. So if you have questions, you can email Exodus at support@exodus.io, and they'll gladly look into it for you. All right. Anything else you want to add to that, Phil, before we take questions from the audience?
Yeah. So hopefully this might clear up a question that maybe someone will have about this portion of it that we just read. What we're saying is that if you registered your EOS address or your mainnet address outside of Exodus, and now you have EOS in Exodus, and it's telling you that it's not registered, that's because you didn't perform the registration within the wallet. You still have a mainnet EOS address that's tied to the original one that you used. It's just not tied to the one within Exodus. So if you redo the registration in Exodus, it'll then keep everything nicely organized within the wallet, rather than having a random private and public key out there to where you'll then need to find a wallet to accept it.
Okay, first question, Phil, is from Mark Devine, and he asked, my EOS coins are on Binance. Do I need to do anything to get my real EOS coins?
As far as what Binance has said, no. Binance will be performing a swap, but I can't speak on behalf of Binance. So as far as what I've been told and what I've read, then yes, Binance will be performing a swap, and he shouldn't have to do anything, but he should reach out to Binance support just to be 100% and find out exactly how it's going to happen with them.
Okay. And then Miss Lulu123 asks, what are the staking payouts for the delegated proof of stake?
What are the staking payouts? I'd have to look at what the distribution was, but you can find some really nice pictograms that people have made of how the DPoS is going to work and the distribution of the payments for them. Because that's a big question a lot of people have had, is with feeless transactions, how are the miners incentivized to secure the network? And they do have a way of creating money, and one of it's through, I believe, I don't want to misquote anything, but one of it is through a small amount of inflation of EOS. The exact percentage I don't want to put out there because I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know that is how that'll work and how they're incentivized to maintain that network. But where the actual what the actual percentages of what they're getting paid for that staking with the block producers, I'm not sure of.
Okay. Happy Gilmore asks, he states that Exodus says that I'm out of jurisdiction when he tries it.
Okay, so there's a couple things that could be happening with Exodus. Because we use an integrated exchange, there have been a lot of recent changes due to new regulations and speculated regulations that are coming out. And if it says it's out of his jurisdiction, then I would, even though I don't like to assume anything, being on the live stream that we are, I would assume that he's in either New York, Washington, or North Korea or Iran. There are some places where the exchange in itself is geo-restricted, but that doesn't in any way impact the sending, storing, receiving of assets within Exodus, or address registration for EOS mainnet. That is strictly to do with the exchange service. But if he wants a better clarification or to find out, I would advise him to email us at support@exodus.io, and someone will probably be with him in 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's all the questions that we have coming in. So thanks for coming on this broadcast to share the technical details of how to register this EOS token, guys. Phil. And so thanks a lot. And if you guys have any more questions, you guys are welcome to reach out to support@exodus.io or tweet out to them. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you guys like these types of broadcast videos that we're doing, guys, in the crypto space, make sure you guys go to our website at www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter and join our newsletter there. And that's where we'll be sending out these types of videos, right? Any last words or any other information from Exodus that you want to plug real quick, Phil?
A lot of people just ask us, you know, I've been getting a lot of emails lately. If the support is the right place to send their features and requests, and please, you know, any questions that people do have about the space or the Exodus wallet, or you need help, our support team is not like every other support team. We take our customer support extremely to heart. That's one of our pillars, kind of, that we circle around, and we're there to make sure that we're there with you to the end, and we get whatever question you have answered or your problem resolved. If you want to see an asset or you want to see a feature in Exodus, let us know so we can talk about it and bring it up, because there have been tons of features that have been even whipped up on the whim. You know, we now have a little eye with a line through it on the login screen for the password, and that came about from a customer on Twitter. And it happened in a matter of a few days, you know, that we added it. It was just before a release, so it got put in. So we are listening to you guys all the time. We are taking your suggestions to heart.
Hey, I also want to add, because I just found this on my Twitter feed here. Exodus just posted a link to the Binance question. So I just put it in the description, guys. If you want to take a look at it, Exodus just sent it to me on Twitter. So I put the link in to where it goes to the support.binance.com. The name of the article is Binance will support EOS mainnet token swap. And that was like 2 months ago. It's a really short article, like one sentence, like 2 sentences long. It says, Binanceans, Binance would like to confirm that they will support the EOS mainnet token swap. We will handle all technical requirements involved for all users holding EOS. And that's it. It says learn more about EOS at EOS, and then thanks for your support. And that post was put out on March 12th, 2018.
Yeah, although I don't use them for swaps or anything like that, I can say that I do know people that have, and they have had success with them and said that they handled them really well. But we just don't know. So I don't want to say that, yes, it's going to happen. Binance has stated that they'll have it happen, but you know, it's always in the consumer's hands on where they want to keep their assets.
Okay, so thanks for watching this video broadcast, guys, about how to register your EOS tokens and your address. And this will conclude the broadcast, guys. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot for having me. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, Ty. Appreciate it.